Hey, what's up and how's it going, everyone? Well, I'm so glad that you have took your time to spend with me right here today on the MRB Wrestling Review Show. I'm your co-host, Mike McRock Wilson, and last night was WWE Monday Night Raw. Now, before I get into this review of last night's show, first I'll say about John Cena's return. I think that John Cena returning this Sunday is the wrong time to return because there's so much, going on involving the Rhodes family, as well as this rivalry between Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, with Shawn Michaels being the special guest referee going into Hell in a Cell. And I think with John Cena returning, takes away the focus from the WWE Championship match and the momentum that the Rhodes brothers have as well. So I think with that said, John Cena, this is the wrong time to come back. And I think that, if that's not the case, I hope that, something good comes out of the World Heavyweight Championship match at Hell in a Cell. Enough of that. Let's get right down to it. The show kicked off when the Big Show confronted the Authority via satellite. What I really like about that segment was that, first it was Triple H and Stephanie McMahon came out, they cut their little promo, and then Big Show interrupted Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. I like how he delivered that one line about Triple H waking up on the wrong side of the bed. And really, there's no really right side of the bed to wake up on. And just really little lines about that, really make it, worth watching. And you can tell that, he's not working alone, because who's the guy on the ins and outs to make things happen on Raw that, are in high places? Someone who has the initials VKM is probably the guy behind this whole charade with the Big Show interrupting them, as well as how the show ended, which I'll get to later on. Also, we saw Daniel Bryan defeat the United States Champion Dean Ambrose. Those two guys put on an excellent match on Raw. And later on, we saw Randy Orton defeat Dolph Ziggler. There was only one nitpicking moment in that match I didn't like, is how Randy Orton delivered that T-bone suplex. Instead of Dolph Ziggler landing on his back, he landed on his shoulders. It was like he was, trying to, leap more forward, in that move. The way he executed was really bad. But the match itself was actually not that bad. Like I said, Dolph Ziggler and Randy Orton actually do work well with each other, but I think that the Daniel Bryan and Dean Ambrose match, was the better match of the two. And with that said, both Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton have their momentum going into the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. And when the show ended, there's a contract signing as well. I'll also get to that as well later on in the show. Also, we saw CM Punk addressing Paul Heyman and Ryback. What I like about this is that, there's something else going on as well. I like that, this whole thing with E Langston, trying to, having a stare down with Ryback, kind of foreshadowing maybe a potential rivalry, and then hits, Curtis Axel. And, what happened shortly after was that we never got to see a match between Big E Langston and Curtis Axel. Instead, we got CM Punk and Big E Langston defeating the Intercontinental Champion Curtis Axel and Ryback. And I thought, those two segments together actually made a good flow as well to the overall show. And the kickoff match at Hell in a Cell will be Big E Langston and Curtis Axel for the Intercontinental Championship. What I like about that is that, this is a match, to get the people ready to watch Hell in a Cell. And, they're really hyping up the three Hell in a Cell matches. on the pay-per-view as opposed to other championships as well. So, it's a good way to kick it off. Also, in the same time, having a championship match as a pre-show match is really not, the way to go. It devalues the Intercontinental Championship if it's not devalued already. And I think that the more they do that, the more that title seems invisible on the show. Also on Monday Night Raw, we saw Santino Marella defeat Heath Slater. Santino Marella and Khali and Hornswoggle came out with the Elvis suits. It was a good way to, break up the seriousness as well with the serious matches coming up. So, it's always good to have that comedy element on Monday Night Raw. We also saw Paul Heyman in the backstage segment, and try watching that backstage interview without laughing, because it's just almost impossible. I don't know how Ryback kept a straight face throughout that entire thing. Paul Heyman was acting like a big, derby promoter. Sunday, and the way he was going on, and then comes back with the "I'm not emotional" like CM Punk, was just so genius on Paul Heyman. And you could see Curtis Axel in the back trying to hold his laughter in. It was just, the really funny and entertaining to watch Paul Heyman go off the way he did on Monday Night Raw. Absolutely brilliant. Also, we saw the Bella Twins defeat Divas Champion AJ Lee and Tamina Snuka. And the only issue I have with this championship match coming up at Hell in a Cell between AJ Lee and Brie Bella is that Brie Bella, the only issue I have is that, I think that Brie Bella is not the person that should be facing AJ Lee. I think that Natalya, women like her, Naomi should get a push as well. And also, we see Brie Bella actually, coming out in her own as well. So it's a little 50-50 split. I like that she is competing for the championship, but in the same time, other divas should get the push as well. And I think that, the more they push Brie Bella, the less they push the other divas, and that's not a good thing to have on the show. I mean, the divas division really lacks on Raw and SmackDown, and when you watch shows like NXT, it shows you how strong their divas division is compared to Raw and SmackDown. It's just one of those things where, you can use your imagination. So, Brie Bella, she is actually working pretty well. She is on fire. She is starting to become believable in her matches with AJ Lee and Tamina Snuka. But I think that, because AJ Lee has a bodyguard with her, I don't see her losing the championship anytime soon. And the relationship between AJ and Tamina Snuka kind of reminds me of the old days when HBK and Diesel were around, Diesel being HBK's bodyguard, kind of reminds me of that. Also on the show, we saw the Wyatt family defeat The Miz and Kofi Kingston. The only issue I have with it is that, the Buzzards need to be going somewhere else. And I think that the Wyatt family had to have targets more bigger and more weird as they are. I know I said that before, and I'll say it again to get the point across. And The Miz and Kofi Kingston are not the superstars for the Wyatt family to target. It just seems a little off for the Wyatt family to be in a feud with The Miz and Kofi Kingston. And I think that, we should see more of Kofi Kingston as well. I think, being this nice guy that he is really not going to go anywhere for Kofi Kingston. That kind of sucks, and I think Kofi Kingston needs to change his character, even if it's just for a little bit, to get that push. As far as The Miz goes, I think that, The Miz is on a decline as well. And I think that the WWE losing interest in the Wyatt family is not going well either. I think that the Wyatt family needs something better to happen for them. Also on the show, we saw the Real Americans defeat Tons of Funk. And Antonio Cesaro, I can't get enough of him. Pulling off that, the swirly move around the ring, lifting up the big guys, doing all the stuff Antonio Cesaro is doing is absolutely amazing. I think that Antonio Cesaro really deserves a push as a singles competitor. I know I said it before, I'll say it again. And having them defeat Tons of Funk, it was an alright match. But what I like that came out of it is that there's another story going on between the Real Americans and Los Matadors outside of the tag team division. And I think that, not outside the tag team division, but outside of the title picture in the tag team division. It's a nice little interesting story. I don't think it's a long-term story that will go any further than the way it's going. I think it's going to be just a short-term rivalry that the Los Matadors are going to go over the Real Americans, which will probably cause a split between Antonio and Swagger. I could see a scenario where Los Matadors wins a match over the Real Americans, and one of them has enough of this team and branches off as a singles competitor. And my guess would be Antonio Cesaro, because he needs something like that for him to have that happen. And then speaking of the tag team champions, the Rhodes family, Goldust and Cody Rhodes' new theme song, absolutely amazing. I still listen to it to this day, and I think I'll listen to it even more. It's absolutely incredible. Great compilation of Goldust and Cody Rhodes' theme song. Amazing. And with that said, the Usos versus The Shield went to a no contest. And what's going to happen now is that there's going to be a triple threat match for the tag team champions at Hell in a Cell. And I think that this match can go either way. I could see scenarios where The Shield and the Rhodes family are so invested into this whole power struggle theme going on as well with Triple H that ends up costing both the match and the Usos become the tag team champions, as well as the Shield kind of sneaking their way into a win and pinning one of the Usos without Goldust and Cody Rhodes being pinned in the match. I could see a scenario where where Cody Rhodes and Goldust retain their titles because it's too soon for them to lose the titles. All these things are coming into play with this triple threat match, and I will do a prediction video later on, and I'll let you know what I think will happen with that as well. I think that this is a weird way for the Usos to get a push in the tag team division, but I think it might work in this case if my first scenario does happen. And the main event was the contract signing between Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. We saw Randy Orton cut his promo first. Good solid promo. I didn't see anything wrong with it. And then Daniel Bryan came back with his excellent promo. I could listen to Daniel Bryan all day. And then we saw Triple H cut his promo, and he kind of swept some guys under the rug, like Rob Van Dam and Edge and Chris Jericho. He made that little comment about we might as well be working for Ted Turner. See, I don't I feel like that, Triple H just buried those three guys. I think that referencing that Ted Turner bit, Triple H, I think you really dug a 12-foot grave and put all those three guys in there. I think that Triple H, that just really bothered me personally and professionally, all in the same time. It's just, I think that, Edge and Y2J are going to have something to say about Triple H's promo and go on rants about, what Triple H said. Triple H, you're known for burying a lot of superstars, and I think you just outdone yourself. Really, I think you just really outdone yourself on Monday Night Raw. And, we saw that, promo from Shawn Michaels as well. He mentioned about what happened to Triple H, what happened to the guy that invaded WCW with a tank, and about playing strip poker with me, etc., etc. And I like that as well. Playing on, the old Triple H and the new Triple H being that corporate guy. Everything was working, all the elements were there, and it played out really well. And then the big show happened. He comes out driving a great big truck in the arena, backstage, comes out of the ramp, and the fans just go nuts. And I think that, and then shortly after, we saw Daniel Bryan hitting that high knee on Randy Orton. I think that, usually the case is where, the guy that gets momentum going into the pay-per-view tends to be, the cliched opposite direction where they lose the match. But I think that Daniel Bryan's going to break the mold and probably become the champion after Hell in a Cell. I think that Hell in a Cell will be the pay-per-view where we crown a new champion. I got so many theories about that match, and I will get to those in my prediction video. And until then, tune in to see my predictions of WWE's pay-per-view event this upcoming Sunday, Hell in a Cell. And that was also my review of last night's Monday Night Raw for the MRB Wrestling Review Show. I'm your co-host, Mike McRock Wilson. And to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.